Hello everyone, congratulations on making it to the end of the semester. I just wanted to give you a few quick pointers on Exam 2. Basically, Exam 2 is oriented in the same way as Exam 1. You're going to have multiple choice questions and true-false questions that are taken directly from your reading. Some of these things you've already processed in your weekly writing assignments, and some of these things you've already been exposed to in your quizzes. So you should have a pretty good idea of what to expect based on what we've already talked about and based on the study guide that I provided for you. A few things that I want you to remember. When you think about developmental crises, you're looking at the individual but also the family. It's very normal for families to go through developmental crises, especially as the family grows and things change. So as they develop as a unit, you want to focus on understanding that developmental crises as well. Some tips about grief. A key component in moving past grief is reinvestment in other relationships to get the support and sense of belongingness from interpersonal relationships. This is important, but sometimes it brings about feelings of guilt because them moving on from that relationship sometimes makes them feel bad about moving on because they feel like they need to feel sad to keep that memory alive. But there's other ways that you can help them keep that memory alive as they work through their grief. Grief is also present in divorce and the end of romantic relationships. You already know that. We've already talked about that. Ending romantic relationships is hard for a lot of people because they have so much invested. So it feels like they're losing out on something that they've spent a lot of time on. It's important for you to know about PTSD treatments. I won't go into that any further, but you should understand that pretty thoroughly from your readings. Child abuse, I wanted to mention a few quick things. You talked about this a lot when you processed what child abuse is and what the warning signs are in your quizzes. And you should know, and it's been said in literature and the research, that child abuse has serious emotional and mental health consequences. It's always important to assess for suicide when you're understanding the complexities of child abuse and when you're talking with a client or a patient who has experienced it either as a child or an adult. And it's typical for child abuse and partner abuse to co-occur. So if you have an abuser in the home, it's likely that they're abusing both their partner and their children. So it's important for you to ask about that, to assess for that, and to figure out how to help or how to inform people that may be at risk for abuse. When you're working with women that have been abused, it's important to let them have the power in the relationship, in your relationship as a worker, as a helper, as maybe a counselor or a human service worker. It's important for them to decide what their next steps are after you've informed them of their possible next steps. And unfortunately, in physical or sexual violence, the longer that they wait, the harder it is for them to fully recover, if at all. So while you want to let them make their decisions, continue to encourage them to get treatment or to process through treatment with you. And another thing is, sometimes the geriatric population, you might have read about this when you were reading some of the group papers, reviewing them, sometimes they're not given holistic treatment. A lot of times if they go to their family care physician, they'll be treated for their medical issues, but not necessarily the mental health aspects of their medical issues. So it's important for us as helping professionals to know that they have needs too. They have needs to process their feelings, their thoughts, their grief, whatever it is related to their current situation, not just be treated for their medical issues. So those are some tips about Exam 2. The second thing I will tell you is about the final exam. The final exam is more comprehensive and it's oriented much differently than Exam 1 and Exam 2. So if you look on your blackboard, you'll see that I have made both of those available. If they're not available to you, please email me and let me know. just looking at it right now, I will tell you that the final exam has a video that's also available, so please be sure to review that video before taking the final exam. When you look at the final exam, you will see 3 questions, 2 shorter essays and 1 long essay. The 2 shorter essays are very clear. You answer the questions fully, so each question has a number of questions, and you're used to this. So you should be oriented to this through your weekly writing assignments for all 3 questions. Be sure you answer thoroughly, be sure that you review the video, and reference back to your test and your weekly writing assignments. If you have any questions about either exam, please let me know. Shoot me an email. Exam 2 is due at the end of the week, and the final exam is due on May 4th. So, in between now and then, you take a look at the study guides. Let me know if you have any questions. And remember, when you begin taking the exam, that you must complete it. So don't go away or close the window. I hope that you all have a great end to your semester. Congratulations on the very hard work that you've done and the progress you've made in learning about crisis and human services. I can tell you that each one of you seem prepared to deal with crises. While it will be different when you experience it, you'll have a background of knowledge that is very useful to you, so I imagine that you will adjust and that you will help people get through the crises very well and ensure, if not the security of their lives, but also the fact that they'll be able to move on in very positive directions after working with you. So thank you again for your hard work. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I wish you all the best in your continued education.